Hello my crafty friends, it's Christy over at Crafty Christy's Creations, and today I have another fun Silhouette Studio tutorial for you. We are going to talk about the Rhinestone Panel. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. I already have set up a couple of things here for you. I've got the word Thinkful in a couple of different fonts, and we're going to look at the differences of how that works. And then also I've got some different leaves over here. Some are outlines, some are fills, and we're again going to look at how that works. The first thing you want to think about before getting started is you want to go ahead and have your design to the size that you want it for your project. It's a lot easier to resize it now and then go ahead and apply the rhinestone element to it. Other things to note, you do need business edition or higher to have this panel on there. And you can find it over on the right hand side all the way down here. It is the circle with the lines through it, which actually looks like a rhinestone. And then when you open it up here, you can see you've got a couple of different rhinestone effects. You can pick the size of the stone that you are using, and then you can decide on the spacing that you want in between the rhinestones. And then down here, it actually tells you how many of each rhinestone, what you'll need based on the design. So I'm using 10 SS stone sizes, which is about a 3 millimeter. I'm going to leave the spacing as default. And then let's go through these fonts and I'm going to show you the differences. So first one here, this is Vanilla Cream font. And I'm going to show you what it looks like with using just the edge. So what it does is it follows the edge all the way around the edge of the text. So that's why when you do the edge, it's kind of hard to read. If you fill this in, that is actually not terrible. We could certainly adjust and add a few more rhinestones here and there to make that a little more legible. And then you've got the radial fill. And that one's pretty difficult to read as well. So let's leave it here with the linear fill. And then we can touch that up if we need to. And then this one here is Birdsong font. So again, let's look at the edge. That one's a lot easier to read. You can see the words are very close to each other. So what I can do is come back to my text panel and I can increase that character spacing. So that'll give us a little more room in between each letter to go ahead and space that out to make it easier to read. Let's open that rhinestone panel back up. So that is the edge. This is what the linear fill looks like. That's actually still pretty legible. A little bit difficult. And then this one we could do some cleaning up and that would work too, but I think the edge is probably the easiest one to read. This one here is Delaney font. Again, let's go ahead and look at the edge. Kind of hard to read. We could do a lot of fixing to make that legible. And that one's pretty hard to read. So that's probably the best one there. And then this is Impact font. So again, the edge. I've already spaced this one out a little bit further to make it easier to read. That one's not terrible. If you fill in this thicker font, it's a little bit difficult to read. We could take out some of these here to show that this is an N, get rid of these few down here, or add a few more to add a curve. I think mostly you get rid of those and it's pretty straight. Get rid of a line here. And that would be a good, nice full word. We could get rid of some in the U there as well. And then that one's not quite as full. I think I like this one. We can clean it up a little bit. But as you can see from this, not every font is going to work perfectly for this tactic. But with a little extra work, you can get them to work. So then if I want to clean this up, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this and then you've got this button over here, release rhinestones. So I'm going to release them. Then what I can do is I can come in here and I'm going to take, let's just take this row and I'm just going to delete a few here to show that this is actually an H. We'll get rid of these few at the bottom. I'm just selecting and hitting the delete key. We'll come in the middle. Actually, we're going to delete. I'm going to hit shift and I'm going to select both of those to delete. going to come down to there. I'm going to delete all of those. And that's a U. You can get a few of these out of the center here to make that really look like an A. Oop. Control Z to undo. I think again, we can delete that. I'm going to Control Z. My mouse is not quite where I want it. All right, I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to delete 2 rows. That looks pretty good. I think I'm going to take another row out of this one. And maybe this one here to give a little more definition to that A. And this one, I'm going to move these over a little bit. And I'm going to hold down the Alt or Option key and pull another copy. And then this one, I'm using my arrow key on my keyboard. That looks a little bit better. I could probably fill in some more with this K. We can move, I'm going to select both of these, and I can move these over to make them a little more linear. Can move this one a little bit. And I can move both of these over. And then I can fill in more right here. So again, I can grab both of these holding down Shift, and then holding down the Alt key, I can pull and drag another copy. That's really tight. I don't know if they're going to actually be able to sit that close together, so I'm going to have to scoot these ones over a little bit. Because you have to remember, you are going to be cutting out this template, so things are going to have to fit in here pretty well. We can move that one. And we can make another copy and fill this in a little bit more. I am just eyeballing as I fill these in. Again, holding down that Shift key. That one we'll have to delete. We can scoot this one over a little bit. Maybe down. That looks better. I may want to come in here and just delete this a little bit to give a little more definition. Oops. Control Z to undo. We want that one. That just gives it a little bit more definition in here. We'll get rid of this row here as well. It looks a little more like a K. All right, I think I like the way this looks. Maybe one more right here. That looks better. You can make these a little bit thinner. So I've got 3 rows, 1, 2, let's do 3 rows here. So we're trying to keep the same thickness, 3 rows. And we've got 3 rows there. All right, that looks better. And I think that's probably the one I'll keep that looks the best. These other ones don't look that great. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these and delete. And then I'm going to resize all of my leaves here a little bit bigger. And I'm just going to pull over this one here. And then this is the kind of outline of it. And then this is the fill one. Do you find this helpful? Make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any future Silhouette Studio tutorials. Now let's jump back in where we left off. And I'm just going to show you the differences with these. To kind of give you an idea, not all SVGs are going to be the same. So let's look at the outline of this one. That's pretty defined of a shape. I like that. Let's see if we fill it in. It's a little less defined. We could do a little fixing up to make it look a little more like a leaf. That looks pretty good, actually. I like that. We could fill in a few more spots in the middle here, but I like the way that looks. And let's look at this one. Again, with the outline, that looks pretty good. You can tell what it is. That one, not so much. And that radial fill, not so much. So we'll leave it like that. And then here we've just got the lines. These two look pretty similar. If we fill it in, it's going to look a lot different because this is just an outline of a design, and that looks pretty similar. Honestly, I think it's kind of between these two, which I like best, and I kind of like the filled in version. I can add a few more in there to make it look even better. So I'm just going to go ahead again. I'm going to click on that, release the stones. And then again, holding down the Alt key, I'm just going to click and make another copy to put in here. Now, when I do this, I do know that my spacing is not going to be perfect. And I'm okay with that. We can just kind of eyeball some things to make it look a little bit better. But I'm just trying to make this look a little bit more full. Let's see if we click on these and move them around a little bit. Again, I'm just using my arrow keys. I think that looks pretty good. These ones I kind of want to move maybe a little bit closer together, and I think these I'm just going to get rid of and call them kind of erroneous. Maybe just pull one more right here. Give that top a little bit more of an opening, get rid of that one. And that looks pretty well like a leaf. I kind of like the way that looks. I think that looks good. I'll get rid of these. All right, and now I'm going to go ahead and right click, and I'm going to make this a compound path. Oop. Interesting, when I did that, it got rid of some of my rhinestones. So let's go ahead and just group them together. And then same with this, I'm going to select all of these and I'm going to group. Okay, and now I can go ahead and just finish off my design. I'm going to angle this a little bit. And then I can add, I think I'm just going to put it like that. Maybe we'll do one more. I don't know. And then the other thing I can do with this, I can actually ungroup this again. And now what I can do, if I want to make these multiple colors, I can go ahead and just grab the ones that I want. And so if I'm going to grab each one individually, I'm going to hold down the Shift key because I'm going to make this like a faded into different colors here. So this is kind of tedious, but I think you'll like the way it looks when it's done. And then I can decide later how I want to add these together to the same design. But again, I'm just selecting all of these. Now that I've pretty well got a good grasp on those, I can go ahead and pick a different color. I'm going to grab that same orange color. Oop, that one. And now I can easily select kind of these top ones. I just wanted to make sure I had that good line at the bottom there so that I have kind of a straight line across. All right, we'll do those orange, and then I'm going to grab these bottom ones. We'll do this section here. Again, this is really tedious work to just sit here and select all of these. And then let's see, we did an orange. Maybe let's make these a nice green. Control Z to undo that move. And then I'm going to grab my bounding box again and just try to grab as many of these as I can. And we'll grab that same green color. Another bounding box. And just trying to grab as many as I can, and then we can come back through here, select these last few, and we'll make those green as well. So now I'm sure you're asking me, well, how do I make all of these the different colors? Well, first let's go ahead and do the same thing to our design here. So I like that. Let's go ahead and it's going to be easier because these are pretty straight. Oh, we have to release. We have to ungroup. Right click. Oh, hitting release also ungroup them, I believe. Yep. I'm going to grab the center here. And we'll make these red. And then we're going to grab the bottom. And we'll make those green. All right, I like the way that looks. Let's go ahead, maybe turn this a little bit more. Actually, maybe let's throw that at the beginning. And then let's go ahead and duplicate. Let's group this back together. Actually, I think we should be able to duplicate. Let's go ahead and group it. And we're going to rotate it. And I'm going to first just duplicate this direction. We'll put it back here. And then from here, what I can do is just mirror it the other way. And then I can have it like this, one on each side. I really like the way that looks. Okay. That looks fantastic. Now, I've got to keep the spacing the way it is. So this is a little bit big. I am going to make this as a shirt design, so it'll be okay how it is. And now, so you want to know how we are going to go ahead and do this in different colors. Honestly, I'm going to pull these down and kind of do them separately. And we'll lay those on separately. But now what I want to do is I'm going to put a box around my design. And I'm going to duplicate that box and we're going to make 3 copies of it. And to do that, we are just going to Control C to copy, and then we can go right click. And oh, it didn't copy. The easiest way to do this right now is to give it a fill color. All right, so now we're going to copy, and I'm going to paste in front, paste in front. So now I've got 3 copies. And now I'm going to move, I'm going to take out the color in each of these copies. So now we can see through. I can grab all of these copies, scoot them down where I want them. That looks pretty good there. Now, each of these colors is going to get a box. And this is basically, this box is going to be kind of your registration marks for this. So I'm going to grab this. And then I have to be really careful. It's probably easier now for me to come in here and grab all of my orange and grab one of these boxes. And I'm going to pull that to the side. Oh, and we grabbed one of the reds. So I think that one probably, yeah, needed to be orange anyways. And now I'm going to group all of that together. We can grab those and we can just say all of them orange. Whoops. We'll just leave it like that. It'll be fine. Let's get rid of this. So there is one layer. And now I'm going to do that. My box, as you notice, is the same size. I'm going to grab all of the red, and I'm going to grab my next box. I'm going to pull those off to the side. I like to pull them over so that way I make sure I've got all of them. We're going to group. And then I can grab all of this and group. Now your box stays the same size. So now you're going to cut out all of these and it's going to cut the different layers. And then when you lay it down, you want your box to lay over each other and then they'll line up perfectly. And now I'm going to do each of these separately. I think it's just going to be easier to do it that way, so I can kind of move these. Actually, we might be able to do a little trick here. Let's go ahead. Again, we're going to make our box. And it actually doesn't need to be that big. Hit V on my computer. I can make that a little bit smaller. We don't want to waste a lot of material here. That's better. All right, so now we're going to, again, copy, paste in front, paste in front. So we've got 3 copies. All right, so now we're going to try to grab all of our green, which unfortunately, we have to ungroup our leaf. And unfortunately, this is where it's kind of hard to do. So we can rubber band select what we can. I'm going to hold down the shift key and continue clicking on all of my little green dots to grab the rest of those. And it does, as you have more and more of these, gets really hard to make sure that you have all of them, which is again why I like to move everything off my screen to see if I've got everything selected. All right, I think I've got everything there. And then I'm going to grab one of my outlines. And then we're going to move that. And you can see we missed a few. So Control Z. That one. I'm holding down Shift again. Shoot. All right, I can't tell which one. Oh no, Control Z. To undo, we're gonna grab, got those 2. Control Z, holding down Shift, grabbing these last few. Can't tell which one it is. Again, I'm gonna move it. Control Z to undo, holding down Shift to grab. And now we've got all of them. Right click, group. So there's my green layer. We're going to do the same process with the red. So I can grab a bounding box here. I can hold down Shift. I can grab a bounding box here. Unclick that orange. See if I can do, whoops, Control Z. And now the rest I'm probably just going to have to sit here and select them. And then I'm going to, holding down Shift again, grab my outline box. Oh, and I only missed one. Control Z. Holding down Shift to click and moving that box over. Right click and group. And now this one's really easy. You just grab everything, right click, group. Okay, so there is my leaf. Now, I think I've got a really good trick here. Let's do it this way. We can move that over. Now what I think I can do is just grab all of these. Let's grab all of those, and then we are just going to mirror that direction. So now I've got 2 copies. That was much easier. Then I can go ahead and just delete that one. We've got our copies. We've got everything here. That looks good. Now we go over to our sun panel. And I just want to show you what this looks like. It's going to go ahead. You've got your bounding box. It's going to cut out all of these. And you're going to cut this out on your template paper. So if you come down here, you've got, it's already in here, your Rhinestone Template paper. I'm doing mine on my ratchet blade. And I'm going to use these built-in settings to start, do a test cut always, and then go from there. So that is how we can go ahead and set up our multicolored rhinestone design in Silhouette Studio.